Welcome to day 2 of the registration process. Your advisor should have handed you out your packet. Make sure you have the correct packet with your name on it. Once you have received your packet, basically I'm just going to kind of overview what we are doing today. Today is going to be our last advisory session within the registration process. Today you are going to select your electives, and then we are going to transfer all 8 classes on to this form. This will be the form that you bring with you to the library when you meet with your counselor. That will occur during the first 2 weeks of February. We will be calling you in. We will already have this packet. We will sit down and go over it with you and put those selections into the computers, kind of similar to what we did last year. So today, like I said, you've already selected your core, and today you'll be doing your electives. So go ahead and flip to this page. It should be the third packet, the second or the third page of your packet. Go ahead and find that. Let's go ahead and put our name. Again, this needs to be our legal name, our name that appears on our report card, our academy. And for those of you who are 9th graders this year, you chose this last session, so make sure you put your correct academy and your pathway. Again, you chose this last session.
All right, the next piece that we're going to be working through here, if you look up here, we have the elective options for your going into 11th grade. There's several different categories here, and I'm going to go through and talk about which options you have available to you for next year. Okay, so the first big box we have up here is going to be your fine arts section. A reminder that there's 1 credit of fine arts required for graduation. Certainly you might end up taking 2 or 3 or more credits worth of fine arts by the time you get to graduation anyway, but you need at least 1. So on top here we've got some various art classes. Art 1 anybody can take. The other art classes though, you must have taken the Art 1 class or the Visual Arts 1 class prior to going into those classes. Chorus, piano, and guitar. There's first level courses for those classes as well for you. Anybody can take those classes. However, if you've gone through those courses and you want to take the next advanced level, there is an audition required to get into the advanced levels of guitar, chorus, and piano. Moving on to like theater arts. Theater arts is available to everybody, whereas drama, acting, and musical theater do have an audition process to go through as well. And then we get into our band classes. If you're going to be marching, concert band, your rhythmics, percussion, orchestra, those are all options for you as well. And if you continue with it every year in high school, that's totally fine. And then intro to cinema studies, learning about movies and such, that is also an option for you if you haven't taken that yet. The next section, moving on, is English and social studies. If you are currently in an AVID class and you would like to continue through that program, AVID is available to you as an elective. We have AVID 3 and AVID 4, so whichever level you're in now, you would take the next level next year. We have some journalism classes, newspaper and yearbook, some more imaginative writing, speech arts, Shakespeare studies, psychology and sociology. And then we get into more social studies courses here, and on the bottom we have the AP classes. Again, something to keep in mind is that the AP classes are college level classes, and we expect that at the end of the year you will then sign up to take the AP test to see how that goes for you. The next small box are science electives. There was a science box on the first session that we had, and you might have chosen a science class there. For those of you who have taken all of those science options or would like to take an additional science class, we do have an AP biology as well as AP environmental science, and some of you might be interested in the anatomy and physiology, which is an honors class. The bottom here are a couple of things, more to serve as reminders if you haven't taken care of it yet. World language, again, everybody needs to take 2 years of the same world language in order to graduate. We have their Spanish. We also have our Spanish class for those who already are native speakers who speak Spanish already, and Latin is an option as well. If you haven't started your foreign language yet, it is imperative that you take the first level of the world language going into your junior year so that you have 2 years to finish that requirement. Keeping in mind as well, for those of you looking at selective colleges or colleges that are harder to get into, a lot of them actually do prefer that you have a 3rd year or a 4th year of a world language. And then on the bottom right here, PE and wellness. As a reminder, if you haven't taken care of your wellness credit or taken PE class options, you need to have 1 credit of each of those for graduation, as well as there is options here. If you're taking lifetime activities or outdoor education going into your junior year, that would likely be an elective class, as well as weight training. If you're going to take a weight training or weightlifting class, it is important to note that if you are an athlete, that you're an athlete looking to take that class, or if you're a boy or a girl. If you're a girl athlete, you should be aware that historically the weight training class has had a majority of boys in the class, but of course any athlete is welcome to join that class. One reminder throughout this whole sheet here is that for the elective options, realistically you're looking for 5 choices there. We're going to rank order what are the 5 classes that you have the greatest interest in for taking next year. We're going to try to get you your first couple of choices there, but it's good to have a couple of alternates. So again, remember to choose 5 classes there. Now we're going to go back to one of the forms that you took from the first session, the last advisory class. Remember this form here where we had you going through your academy and picking your pathway, and then your core classes, English, math, science, social studies, courses like that. So we're going to take this information and we're going to transfer it onto that registration form so things look nice and clean and simple. Okay? So we're coming back to this form. We're going to transfer that information. The boxes here align and have the same names as the flowchart form. So you'd write your pathway class in here, as well as your name and your academy and such on the top. And then fill in with the English class, math, science and social studies. And then we already have personal finance and critical thinking chosen for you because that's a junior class. So go ahead and do that. Maybe take a couple minutes to make sure you transfer that information over. Alright, so hopefully you've had enough time to go ahead and mark your choices for the English, Math, Science, and Social Studies classes on the top portion here. So we're going to shift down to the bottom, and the next step is to fill in your elective choices. So again, remember, you were to choose 5 options from the electives sheet, okay? And your first 2 choices, the classes you want the most, are going to go in lines 7 and 8. As a quick reminder again, if you haven't started your world language requirement, that's going to need to go in on line 7 there, because at this point we need to get that started. So again, first 2 selections in lines 7 and 8. And then your rest of your choices from that sheet, from the electives, you're going to fill those in for the first, second, and third alternate choice. Okay. As you do that, something to just kind of keep in mind that I need to mention is that through your English class, you're going to be coming to the library to meet with the counselor of your academy to go over your selections. We're going to review those things. If you have questions, we can take care of that. If we need to make adjustments with you, we can do that. And then we're going to get you set up on the computer so that all that stuff is put in. And you're actually going to take the rest of your packet at that time. You're going to take that back home so that you can show it to your family at home as well. One other thing to keep in mind here is on the bottom right-hand side, essentially, we're trying to make these choices as final as possible. If there are any adjustments or changes that need to be made, we need to know about that and talk to you about that before the school year ends. Okay? So make sure you talk to your counselor if there's any questions, and we'll make those adjustments as quickly as possible. All right, and then the last thing I need to mention here as well is that there's 2 forms that look like this. One is white, and the other one that's in your packet is yellow or green or blue. Okay, so we're going to actually ask you to transfer the information from this form onto the colorful form so that when the packet comes to us in the library and we review these things, we're actually going to keep the colorful form, and then you can take the packet with your selections home and talk about it with your family as well. Thank you very much.